Hey guys, you're watching the Shift Training channel.
Where we talk about personal growth, we talk about physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and just overall well-being.
And today we're going to be talking about goals and standards. We're going to be talking about what are goals, what are standards, the difference between them, and how do they relate. So let's get started with the first question. What are goals?
What are goals? I believe goals are something we want to accomplish in the future. For example, losing weight, acquiring a certain amount of money, millionaires, billionaires, winning a championship, being a professional dancer. I believe mainly our life is based on our goals. Without it, we would have not meaningful life. We wouldn't have that meaningful life if we don't have any goals.
Right.
I think the best way to approach goals is to have SMART goals. And that is an acronym law.
Yeah, what are the SMART goals?
Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And if we do those, we'll have a greater success to accomplish our goals.
Fantastic. Yes, SMART goals is where it's at. I love that. Yeah, I think of goals as like they're targets, You aim at them, and if you have SMART goals, you're more likely to actually hit your target, right? What's the acronym again? SMART means what?
SMART means...
Look it up. What was the first one? I forgot.
Specific.
Oh, specific. Thank you. Okay, so specific, measurable, attainable. What's the R?
Relevant.
Oh, relevant. And then T is time bound. Or time related?
Time related.
Time
related as well.
Okay, cool. So yeah, when you have a target where all those things matter, you're more likely to hit it. So that's how I think of goals.
Sweet. All right. Shall we move on to the next question?
Yeah.
What are standards?
All right, so standards are different. This is, I'm going to have fun talking about this one. I just finished listening to The Power of One More with Ed Mylett. Amazing book. He talks about the difference between goals and standards and how basically your standards is basically, it's your thermostat. It's the pace in which you decide to live. You say, this is the bar. I only do these things. I do not do these things. As Tom Bilyeu says, bright lines. It's very clearly, this is the standard. I expect a red Corvette. I expect to eat fish with my dinner, or I expect green beans, and I will not have broccoli because I insist upon green beans. Like whatever it may be, I like both. Whatever it may be, you have your standard. For example, you may have a standard to not hold a grudge against somebody. It's not how I operate. So I don't do that, And standards play a big role in how we hit our goals because it's not just our ability to apply willpower or energy or force to go after a goal to hit a target, but it's the standard. Our standards dictate how likely we are to be successful in achieving our goals.
Right.
So for example, if you have a goal that requires standards that are over here, but your standards are somewhere over here or over there, then you're not really going to hit that goal because your standards don't align with the goal. So for example, let's say you want to make $1 million. Not giving no financial pro tip advice or anything, but let's say you want to reach $1 million, but you have Taco Bell standards. You're not going to hit the $1 million, player. You need to change those standards. If your standard is the minimum, there's no way you can expect the maximum return on something.
100%. Yeah, same thing with athletes. If we use that same analogy, there are athletes that have certain standards. Let's say you're a high performer, you want to be the best of the best. While other athletes, they're happy with mediocre results. And I think that's okay. I think as long as we're clear with our intention and clear goals, those standards, I think it's okay. And if you want to be a high performer, want extraordinary results, I believe you need some sort of like sacrifice. Maybe, you don't have to watch Netflix during the night because it's gonna, you're gonna have 5 hours of sleep. You need that 8 hours to be, a high performer. So you can be operating in optimal energy, your cognitive function, physical function.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sacrifice. You don't need 4 hours of Netflix. Do just one. You're like, I don't have enough time to sleep. Well, I only get 5 hours of sleep. Well, I watch 4 hours of Netflix. Well, there you go, player, And it's what standard? You have a standard to have that level of energy. That low energy is your standard. raise your standard, you're willing to make sacrifices to get to your goals.
Right.
Because you have a different mindset. It becomes a must, a need. This is the standard. And anything less than that is not what I'm interested in.
100%.
Yep. So the next question is, and I think we kind of touched on this, but let's get to it. What is the difference between goals and standards?
Yeah, I think we did. So as I mentioned earlier, goals are something that you want to accomplish in the future, while standards is something that we use to judge the quality of something else.
I think it's also relevant to the present, right? So like you said, the goal may be relevant to the future. Standards is how we live in the present. So if your present doesn't look like or start to even connect with or be congruent with the future you want, that's where you have the disconnect. So if you want to get to some point in the future, you need to start taking the appropriate actions now. Make those your standards. That's the present.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Cool.
All right, moving on to the next question. How do they relate?
And I think we touched on this a little bit as well. How do they relate? Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You can set a goal and you can try to fight for it. But and let's say the goal requires you to be at your thermostat, as Ed Mylett likes to say, at 100 degrees. That means you're on fire, you're going after it, it's really hot, it's really intense, but you're going, right? But if your thermostat's set to 75, anytime you start leaving 75, you might touch 100, you're gonna come right back down. You can't maintain that because that's not your standard. You're gonna come right back to that 75 degree, nice, comfy, so
cozy.
Yeah, you're gonna reach that complacency. You're gonna stick right there. So if you want to reach a goal, and reach meaning it's out of reach, like if you have to stretch for it, you're gonna have to push the bar. You're gonna have to raise your standards a little bit, and that's how it works. It's hard to hit your goals without raising your standards, and if you raise your standards, that in itself, even without a specific goal, if your goal is simply to improve or do better, by raising the bar, you're going to do so, and there might be more opportunities that become available to you simply because you'll have more targets to even choose from if you like.
I see. So they are related or connected because they are aiming on the same, like the result. Not necessarily the same result, but like something in there.
Yeah, they're connected. They influence one another. Again, if you set a high goal, but you don't raise your standard, you're going to have that dissonance where you're like, back to your example of being a basketball player, professional athlete, you're like, yeah, I want to be one of the best, but you don't stay after practice with the person who's the best. You don't clock the time like the best. You go hang out with everybody else. But yeah, I want to be the best. And then you feel dissatisfied. You feel disappointed with yourself. Why? You said you wanted more, but you didn't do it. That's not your standard. So this is where you either need to assess, do I really want that? Why do I want that? Maybe I don't really want that. Or how's my performance? Am I actually doing what I say? No, I'm not. Okay, well, let me change my standard.
Yeah.
I have a standard to where it's like, now I honor my word. So if I say I want this, I better do whatever it takes to get to this. So you need to be mindful of what your standards and your goals are and make sure they align with what you really want in your life. Any other thoughts on goals and standards?
I think that's it for us.
All right, cool. Where can I find us?
All right. Don't forget to subscribe, review, comment, and you can find us at Shift Training on any platform, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok.
Apple, all that stuff. So we're everywhere, guys. We appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this content. If you enjoyed it, appreciated it, did anything for you, please share it with somebody else. It helps us grow the vision and serve more people. Other than that, I think we're done.
That's it. All right,
guys.
Peace.
Peace.